In an effort to make the season more interesting, Arsenal have a contest to see whether they can concede fewer goals and lose players to injury. This is the Arsenal Vision Post-Match Podcast. My name's Elliot. You can block me on Twitter, Yankee Gunner. Yeah, that's right. 0 goals conceded, but more players lost to injury. So if that trend continues to happen, I would submit that the trend of conceding 0 goals would eventually end. But at the moment, it carries on. We carry on, and we continue to be top of the table. So I say, happy Monday, table toppers. I hope you had a great weekend at the top of the table. I hope you are continuing to be top of the table. And if you are like me, you may be enjoying sneaking into the kids' Halloween candy and partaking. And I have partaken quite a bit. So it will be a week of having to recover from those activities and hopefully restrain myself a bit. Lots going on. There's training happening for tomorrow's game against Slavia Prague. Some players in it, some players not in it. An alarming number of players not in it, but we will probably touch on that a bit. Got a great discussion to have today because we can talk about an amazing performance from Victor Gyokeres, Declan Rice, the two halves and how they differed. We can look ahead to the week that we have to manage before the international break. Thank God one of those is coming up. We can talk about some of the other results in the Premier League as Erling Haaland's new operating system has uploaded. So thankfully he's still firing on all cylinders. That's great news. We did have special guest on Friday Night Clive, and you can certainly go listen to that. We had an instant reaction over the weekend. We've got a history pod from Tim coming up. We've got basically 6 pods a week is what it averages out to. And if you didn't know this, you can have them just arrive in your regular pod player. So you don't even have to go fetch them if you do want to sign up for the Patreon thing. Whether you do Apple or Patreon, what I will tell you is if you sign up on the website, then you do not have to worry about the surcharge from the operating system. If you go on the app and sign up, you'll get hit with a surcharge. So just a little word of warning there. And as ever, code AVP50 will get it to you for a couple of quid. Check it out. See what you think for a month or whatever you want to do, or just stay here. The important thing is we're all together. We love you for being here. If you didn't get a chance, by the way, on Thursday's pod, the last 10 minutes is devoted to the CEO of Save the Children, Jordan, giving us an update on the Arsenal Foundation's work in the Zattery camp and the Coaching for Life program. In April, we'll do our fundraiser again, but some really, really cool updates that Dana Ericat gave. So I hope you had a chance to listen. If not, go back and give it 10 minutes of your time. It's certainly worth it. Anyway, love you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this wonderful season and this wonderful community. And here to discuss this wonderful season is Clive. Hello, Clive.
Hello, hello.
How you doing, man?
Okay. I'm okay. Enjoying...
Not a Halloween candy guy, huh?
Nah, not really. Halloween is just another day, right? And weekend's another weekend where football commences. Simple.
Do you do the fancy dress thing? I don't think I've ever seen you in fancy dress, Clive.
Mate, there's no fancy dress in my house.
He's a serious man. He is a very, very serious man. So I have to admit, I've sort of stopped doing the fancy dress thing myself. And part of the problem is in Minnesota where I currently live, it's just so cold and miserable on Halloween that you're going to have to put on the parka. You're going to have to put on the gloves. You're going to have to put on the wool cap. Anyway, it's like at that point, what do you do? And the kids, they love it so much. They trudge out there in their vampire outfit or the butterfly outfit, no coat on, no gloves on, trudging from house to house. And kids love candy so much, they will push themselves well past the point of near frostbite to get this candy. So yeah, it's always fun to watch that as a parent and decide at what point am I verging on neglect. So you have to make some executive decisions there. Similar to Mikel Arteta, who lately has to make executive decisions. At what point do you pull the players off the pitch before the hamstring falls off the bone? So Mikel Arteta and I, we're basically the same, really, if you think about it. Quick funny story, by the way, Clive. I was watching some NFL yesterday. Please don't judge me. And on the broadcast for the Rams game, they brought up Mikel Arteta, the coach, head coach Mikel Arteta of Arsenal, because Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, apparently was talking in glowing terms about how much he's learned from Mikel and how it's helping him with leadership in his own group and at his own team. So Mikel not just dominating the Premier League, but dominating the global sports scene. I was curious if you caught that.
Well, I've heard Sean McVay talk before. I think he spoke to many Blazers, and he's really good, actually. You can see the similarities between them. They're two intense guys, right? So, and they're big organizations to look after. And yeah, I love my NFL. I watched the Rams. I watched the Bears play yesterday, and I watched Chiefs build. And yeah, there's a lot of from in my head, Ellie. You know the way I'm wired. Looking at other sports, you can definitely see things happening in football. And there's the autumn series internationals happening at the moment with rugby, and you can see how England are playing in particular, particularly playing an aerial game. And I just smiled to myself. They pick players to win the aerial contest, bat it back, and it's second ball rugby, right? So it's really interesting having contestable kicks and then making sure you're there for the seconds. And I just look and laugh about football. What have we done this year? A lot of teams, particularly against Liverpool, have gone long. Second ball, it's a race to that second ball. Can you predict where it's going to go? And of course, as soon as you do that, you're playing against unsettled defences. And that, for me, is the big change of this season. That is the trend. And set pieces are just a byproduct of that. So, yeah, interesting. So, yeah, I love looking at other sports.
Yeah, and it's important to remember, like, whatever we think about the job of a manager, a head coach, that's the tactics. You got to get the tactics right. Can he coach attacking football, pretty football, winning football, all these things? It is fundamentally, first and foremost, a job about being the leader of young men and being able to connect to them, understand how to work with them. You look at Tottenham Hotspur, if you can stomach it, and you see Mickey Van de Ven and Jed Spence blanking their manager walking off the pitch the other day. You see some of the issues that have cropped up at Liverpool. And it's hard to manage these young millionaires and these precocious talents who all have big dreams of success for themselves, and to keep them all unified and fighting together and working hard. And so these coaches and managers across sports at the elite level have different experiences that they can pass to one another. And I think one thing that Mikel Arteta deserves a lot of credit for is we have a talent-laden squad, too deep at almost every position, and the unity in the group is clear. And we see at other places that is not always the case, and that is not always easy to avoid those dramas. And we seem to have been, I think it's fair to say, pretty drama-free. There seems to be a no asshole policy at Arsenal at the moment. And so while we'll certainly continue to talk about tactics, and I think tactics and talent determine outcomes most of the time, these people, and Mikel Arteta chief among them, have to be phenomenal at managing young millionaires, and he seems quite good at it.
Yeah, it must be really hard, right? Because the currency they really care about, okay, money is important, but the currency of minutes on the pitch is the most important thing. And these guys are the best of the best. So during their young careers, they've no doubt played and been prominent players in all their youth teams all the way through till they get to a really, really good first team going for the biggest trophies in the game. So how do you cope with that? How do you cope with not playing for a few weeks, and watching people do well in your position and still have to be supportive while they're doing well in your position? How do you look at that player and say, how can I develop? Sometimes the team balance changes, and balance is the other key thing for me, is finding a balance in a team. And when you find a balance in partnerships and units, and you may not fit that balance by where we're playing and how we're playing and the opposition we're playing against and how you connect to other people, but you're a really good player, but you don't suit this game. Then another game comes along and you suit it perfectly. The amount of possession we have, they may have skills that you have. And when I'm talking now, I'm thinking about Miles, for example, has done really well. When we played against hard winger teams like PSG and Real Madrid in the biggest games in the world, he managed them so easily. Now we're playing a slightly different game where we're rotating different ways, and he's asked to be a far more of a flow player. Well, you know what? We've got this other guy that's 6'2" that everything flows through him, right? And he may be a little bit more, using one of John McKenzie's words here, associative in his connections to how he plays, And I think this is the beautiful thing about football. This is why a team always presents itself to you, rather than you pick it, and it presents itself to you. And when you see it, you go, oh, there you go. That really works. And the coach's job is to find that magic ingredients and put them in front of us so we can opine on it. So I love it. I love I love sport, and I love the management of sport and management and seeing young players develop. It's the best thing. It's the best thing.
Yeah, and to be fair, Mikel's had it pretty easy this season, because if all your players are injured, you don't have to worry about who to give the minutes to. You just give it to the players that are left. Okay, let's get into the Burnley game. And Clive, I don't think there's actually any need to wait on this topic. We can get into the interesting and naughty tactical issues in a minute, but let's just surface the Gyokeres conversation, because I think it is the single biggest talking point from the first half, certainly, of this game. You go away to Burnley, and by the way, it was a day where in those early kickoffs, those 3 p.m. kickoffs on Saturday, we were the only away team that won. The others all got battered, by the way. So it's like, just a reminder that away football is hard. Turf Moor is a place we've struggled. They hadn't lost at home this season. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's the hardest game of the season or anything, but you've got a big challenge on your hands. And Gyokeres, from start to finish of the first half, was the dominant player of that game. He was involved in everything we did. So rather than setting it up beyond that, I just want to get your feedback on that performance.
Yeah, so Gyokeres, this is one of the players that myself and you, we've seen him before with our own eyes. And sometimes when you watch him play in the opposition, you get a feeling how a player makes you feel, right? So, and I saw him that day in Lisbon, and I thought, you're not a bad player. You're really quick, you're really aggressive. When I mean really quick, I mean really quick. And the power in his boots is incredible. Remember that free kick he took, Elliot? He broke the stanchions, right? And and it's like, oh my God, this guy's just full of power and speed. So when he came to Arsenal and he came and he obviously didn't do a pre-season, so he didn't quite look as quick. But I just brushed it to one side because I thought, you know what, I've seen him. And that was only a few months previous, so it hasn't gone anywhere. He's 27 years of age, not 37. So you stay patient. And then the Newcastle game came along. But the key thing in the Newcastle game, I think we played Port Vale on the Wednesday and he was rested. And that's when I started to talk about we need to rest him. He'll get better when we have more options. When Kai comes back, I think we'll see the real Gyokeres. Again, this week, pre-game, he was rested. And he comes into this game and I was quite shocked. It was just him doing all of the good stuff, and he comes back to, I believe very, very much so, when a player leaves a first impression on you, don't forget it. It's there. It will come back. And even though you might be thinking, and I have had concerns about his level, and this may be a level conversation rather than is he a good player conversation. At the very highest level, some of his core skills are not as big a differentiator. Let's be honest about that. But if you're playing every 3 days, you're never going to see the true player. And he's a player that needs sharpness and fitness. And I think he just needs rest. So he's not only adapting to a new league, he's adapting to a new level of intensity where your best game's got to come out all of the time. And that best game, when you extract it, it's going to leave you fatigued. Then you got to come out and do the game after and do the same thing again. His numbers and kilometers covered are right up there, right at the highest level, which means he's giving everything he possibly can. For any Arsenal fan that's able to watch him in games and see him off the ball, and maybe you can see it on TV as well, we can all see that he's a little bit fatigued, right? But in this game, he looks sharp, mate. He looks sharp. Decisions look sharp. He looked really bouncy across the pitch. But ever since that Newcastle game, the most important thing, Elliot? Emotionally, he seemed to have joined the team. And he looks like one of us, and he looks like one of the lads. And I think the lads appreciate him, and I think he appreciates them. And that, if you get that done, that's been done really quick. You know what I mean? And I think he must be feeling, what a great mood this is for me. I really like everybody. The fans like me. It must be just dream. This is a dream. 27, he's waited a long time for this. Top money, top player, playing centre forward for the team that's top in the Premier League and second or first favourites for the Champions League. It's incredible, really. Incredible rise.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's really encouraging too is Arsenal. I mean, do we want an Erling Haaland? Who doesn't want an Erling Haaland? But we don't necessarily need an Erling Haaland who doesn't get involved in the game except to score 2 or 3 a game, because we have lots of talent. But we do need our center forward to be involved in things we do beyond just getting on the end of things. And one of the things that was so encouraging about this performance, Clive, was the extent to which he was providing. Saka had 2 clear chances, and he'll be frustrated he didn't find a goal in the game with the chances that he was given, both from Victor Gyokeres. And then he had the stunning cross-field pass to Leo Trossard, where Leo clips it up for Declan to head in. Yeah. And so, yes, he gets a goal from a set piece, which is great for the hashtag narrative. We love seeing that. And kudos to Gabby for getting the assist. He's always around the ball on the set pieces. Great Declan Rice delivery again. Almost had an Olympico in this game as well. But it's the combination play. It's the fact that he was so involved. And that was some of the stuff we saw in the Newcastle game that we liked as well. So obviously I want Gyokeres scoring every game. I want Gyokeres taking 4, 5, 6, 7 shots every game. But one of the things that I think will really help us achieve what we need to is being involved in what we build and what we create in the game. So do you think that's really the bright spot, is the combination play and the extent to which that he was providing for others?
Yeah. So let's delve into that a little bit, shall we? Yeah. I think,
please do. That's what we're here for.
Well, Newcastle game, just think it through. How good were the front group against Newcastle, and how close in proximity were they to Gyokeres? How close was Eze to Gyokeres on that day? And when you think back to his chances, forget the crossfield pass, how close is Saka to him? How close are people around him? So they're almost running inward like at the tip of an arrow, and they're getting around him and they're working off his pieces, because if he can't win the hold up, what he's going to do, he's going to affect the exit. It's going to affect the defender's ability to clear it properly so we can win the second ball and we can go from there. So for me, Gyokeres' main thing has been how he's changed how we play. Or we've changed because of his primary skill sets are impossible to ignore. He's a mobile target man that's really quite bullish in his play. So you would be absolutely stupid to stand on the touchlines and leave him on his own in the middle of the pitch. You'd be absolutely stupid to do that when he can affect so many more things if you get people around him. And I think that's what we've learned. So proximity is a real thing for me that's changed. And on in his best games, he has people close to him. So what does that do for me? That means the roles of our fullbacks and wingers change. They get around him, they get near him. And there's been some great analysis on fullbacks this week. I'm sure you're going to get to that. But for me, it's about proximity. Proximity on the last line and what he does to get us up the pitch and make people fear what we can do in behind. Because for a long time now, we've played midfielder Arsenal, where everyone's a midfielder. And everyone knows he's going to go to feet, his combinations. And the one guy that runs through is Saka, maybe a bit of Martinelli, and then everyone knows he wants to penetrate, so we kick him early so he can't penetrate. So we play midfielder football, which we sort of saw in the second half of this game. And so, but now we have a striker. And strikers run. They run, they distract, they run to affect people, they distract people, they just run. And now you have a focal point you have to manage. And it's just, for me, it's been transformational. It's really changed how I watch Arsenal. It's made it completely different.
Yeah, and I do think, and we'll get into this a little bit with the second half, but especially with Martinelli out, I think you see how important it is to have someone that challenges the defensive back line and will run at defenders, because when you play Marino, Saka, and Leo, that's a situation that I think allows that defensive line to move up just a little bit higher, to compress the space a little bit more, to make it a little bit more difficult to get out. So even when he's not getting on the end of things, that running, I think, is in the mind of those defenders and moves the defensive line around. So, Clive, it's a great performance, and unfortunately it's ended by the fact that he's taken off. And I noticed this in the game, by the way. You heard the away support, who were so great in this game, singing the Marino song about halfway through the first half. And I was kind of like, why are they singing the Marino song? Because he wasn't playing.
He's probably warming up at the time.
Well, he was warming up. That's exactly right. And he was warming up, halfway through the first half. Now, Gyokeres stayed on and played the rest of the half. So I'm not going to panic about this one so much. If he was able to play at least till halftime, I think we're just being cautious. But, Mikel spoke about it being a shame that he had to come off because of the game he was having. So a couple of things on Victor going off at halftime. He said, quote, "I think it was one of the best games he's played. I think overall his performance was exceptional. He was part of the first goal. We had to take him off because he was feeling a little niggle, muscular. So we'll have to wait and see." On his overall play, he said, everything. His high press, his position, his touches, his threading behind, the way he linked play, the way he got us from this situation to transition moments. I think he was in a really good moment. It's a shame that he felt something. And that's the thing, the way he got us in behind, the way he moved things around and got us transitioning. I mean, this first half, you want to talk about an absolute battering. 8 shots to 0, 2.27 expected goals to 0.00 expected goals. 15 touches in the opposition box to 2. It was a massacre in the first half. And, it's just a case that this game changed a lot at halftime. Not in like a serious way where it became a problem, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. I think the other big storyline from this game, though, is just the continued impressive form of Declan Rice. His header is sensational. His set piece delivery is probably not credited enough for the reason we're so good at set pieces. But to put in perspective what Declan Rice did for us, we saw the offensive impact he had. He had 21 defensive contributions in this game. The next closest player was Gabby with 11. After that, Calafiori with 7. 21 defensive contributions while also scoring a goal, providing the set piece deliveries, covering all the ground. And, I said it on the instant reaction, Clive, but I'm pretty comfortable to say it again. I think Declan Rice is right now the best midfielder in the league and certainly right there for best midfielder in the world. He's found another level. And he can be a bit of a slow starter in seasons. We've seen that, but he's fully up to speed now. This was a staggeringly good performance.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, there's a journey we go on with players, isn't there? When we see them, I can remember criticising Declan Rice playing for England, and I can. And I kept thinking, why does everyone just like him? Sometimes we just default to liking a player. And it's Tim. Tim got me a ticket for West Ham away game once, and I went to watch it. And we won the game, but I just saw this flash running across the pitch. And it was Declan Rice. I went, "Oh, you may have to change your opinion, mate. this guy can move." And so, and then we had. Do you remember that Brentford game we played? When Ivan Toney gave Slavia a bit of a tough time, it might have been a 2-2 or 1-1, but when the lines weren't drawn for the offside goal, and everyone really played on the fact that Slavia got a bit of a rough time. I actually thought if we didn't have Slavia, we'd have been in trouble because Toney was really good that day. But what really I learned that day was about the second ball and controlling the momentum of the game. And we didn't control the second ball well that day. And we sat at Union Chapel and I said, we need to make a change. We need to control momentum of the game. All I was thinking about was Declan Rice. And we signed him that summer. So I felt really cocky about how clever I was. But really, that for me was the key difference to make sure we can control the game, control the things that are uncontrolled. And he is the man that hoovers up everything. So the roles he's had with his time with us, playing high as a left A, and I remember the Brighton game, and his average position until he got sent off was the highest player in our team. And that didn't feel right to me. That didn't feel like it matched his psychology of who he is. I think he sees things, he stops things, he starts things. But just to do that, I think he needs to see the game from behind the ball. So he can bring the game forward rather than starting high and coming back to the ball, which is far more systemic. Now, it's improved technically, but now I'm a big believer in giving a player a role that suits him psychologically. And he is a team guy. When somebody else makes a mistake, he's there to fix it. Or the game needs to be driven forward. Okay, I need to do that now. But he needs to be in a part of the pitch where he can do multiple jobs. And this is why I was always I was consistent with this. He was not going to be a lone six. Obviously, he can do it, but that is not the best way to get the best out of Declan Rice's psychology and how he sees the game and how he sees the role in the game, how he sees leadership, how he sees impact, how he wants to control momentums. The sixth role needs level of discipline, which he obviously has, but that takes away from what he can possibly do. And this game was a really good example of why now far fewer people think he's a lone six than when he signed. And this has been developed on Mikel Arteta's watch. And his technical level has gone through the roof. I can remember our scouting video of him. We were questioning it a little bit in that. I don't question it at all now. Left foot, right foot. Different clubs. The lot, mate. The lot. He's now probably the most technical ball striker in our team. And it's incredible his development, don't you think?
Yeah, and can I ask you a question just about the dynamic of how he's developing? Because this is one of those interesting things about how players all fit together. I found Eza to be a bit peripheral in this game, and I still think that he's just a very different player than the player we usually have in the right 8 position. But what's interesting to me is, in this game, Eberechi Eze had 35 touches, completed 21 of 21 passes, so that's good, I guess. 35 touches. Declan Rice had 94. When Odegaard plays, sometimes we've found ourselves saying things, Clive, like, Declan Rice, 19 touches, 17 touches, 21 touches. That's not enough. We want him in the game more. And I do wonder if when we play with a 10 like Eza, who wants to go stand between the line and go up a line and wait for the ball to come there, this new dynamic with Zubamendi and Rice, who are two of our three most two players who touch the ball the most along with Saliba, that it is changing the dynamic of Rice's involvement. And that Odegaard, because he comes back to the ball and he brings it forward, he's going to be the player who dominates buildup. Now, just so we're clear, this is not me knocking Odegaard. It's me saying, does Declan's play with Eze seem like he has to take more of that role in the first phase of buildup, that he gets on the ball more? And also, it could just be, every game is a little bit different. But what do you think of that?
Yeah.
The fact that he winds up with our joint most touches, 94 touches in a game, when that's not always how it's worked with Arsenal. The ball hasn't always flowed up the left-hand side through Declan Rice,
Yeah, so I think, again, you have to come back to how you create balance in a team. And I think the balance between Zubimendi and Rice is really, really good. I use the phrase they're on the seesaw. So they just go back and forth into the back line. They take turns to jump in and make that extra defender to make it three at the back there. And from there, they can join. So Zubimendi goes, Rice just sits. This is old school centre mids in a 4-4-2. One goes, one stays. Well, I was the one that stood still, man. I wasn't going anywhere. So basically, it was, you just do that. These two are so good. They can just go into areas. The other one compensates for them. So I don't like to be too definitive because every game's different. And sometimes a player may have a role. He might be the spare man. He ends up being higher for longer. And we all say, oh, too many played on the right-hand side. Well, sometimes it's just a game that develops in front of you. The key thing, if you see it and you feel it and you go, someone else covers your zone. And that's what we have. So Zubimendi, Saka, Timber have all gone high. That might be a bit dumb. You know what I mean? So Declan, if he's high as well on the other side, well, we're not being smart. They're not the principles on which we play. And so I never get too conclusive when it comes to tactics. Sometimes it's the game and what you're doing on that side of the pitch. But what I will say is that it's an all combination together. So Rice, I think, complements Zubimendi really well and vice versa. Their skill sets, how they see the game, how they feel the game, perfect balance, as good as we've seen in a long, long time, But then Eze now is different, right? He is more of a big moment player. He's looking for a moment. He's sneaking around the pitch and he's waiting for a drop. He's waiting for a difficult pass. Then he's a really difficult touch to bring it under control and kill it and bring people to him and then free it. He's looking for a shot. He's looking for the bounce of the edge of the area. He's a player that will score a goal in a cup final, which he's done. Arriving late, and he's a big moment player. And I heard Mikel say it. He said he's a big player. I thought, yeah, he's a big moments player. I extrapolated it out a bit further. And think back to this season, what he's already done. He's had big moments, hasn't he? He's had moments in games. So, of course, now we see 80-touch Odegaard, who just runs the game tactically and on and off the ball. And then we play Eze there, and you can't help but look at the 30-touch deficit and think, oh, is he having the same impact? Well, he's having an impact in our team, without a doubt, because he protects it, he holds it, protects it better than Odegaard, I'm afraid, because he's strong in his lower body, protects it, holds it, and he creates continuity. But when we need big moments, he's been there for us. And he's also another one who played a lot of minutes, again, in his early stage of his Arsenal career. Okay, we've got two 27-year-olds, we're not kids, but it's still new. Him and Gyokeres, it's still new. So yeah, I've been really, I quite like the balance we have at the moment, while knowing we got so many more options down around the corner, Elliot. It's going to be so interesting to see what we arrive at.
Yeah, he obviously scores a great goal, by the way, and it's just a wonderful time to watch Declan Rice play football for Arsenal. And you look at squad building and the pieces you have to get to become a dominant team, and somehow that £100 million signing almost flies under the radar as the load-bearing wall in this team in terms of what we've done in the market. I mean, obviously Saka came through the academy, William Saliba and Gabby came a little while earlier, but Declan Rice is a piece that vaulted us now to a team that consistently challenges at the top for everything. There was a moment in this game, Clive, I just want to quickly get your thoughts on. And by the way, I should mention this, Declan Rice on his goal celebration, quote, "My auntie passed away before the Fulham game. I loved her to death. She traveled everywhere to watch me with my mom. I know she's watching down, so that was for her today. So may she rest in peace, and certainly condolences to Declan Rice and his family." Leo Trossard, 100th appearance for Arsenal. Tremendous goal and assist return for him. I think he's playing really well. There was the moment with the kick out. And Leo is a player who's a hothead. We just know that about him. He seems angry about everything all the time. I got to give credit where it's due because we were all scarred by PGMOL needing to be the story in every one of our games last season. This is a moment where they certainly had the chance if they wanted it. I think it would have been harsh, but I think, you gave me no choice. Those words ring in my ear. Letter of the law, those words ring in my ear. So how nervous were you? I don't know if you watched this real time because I know there's a blackout. How nervous were you with that kick out? What are your thoughts on that moment?
I didn't see it real time. I heard you on the IR. I'm thinking, what did I miss? Did I miss an assault?
Yes.
Yes. And so I know you worry, Elliot. So what did I miss? And then I did see a little clip of it and I thought, okay, that's one of them things that would have gone against us last year. Simple as that.
Yep.
It's simple as that, right? We couldn't cross the road without being run over, right? It just felt like that. And so, yeah, in this game, I did catch when Leo he snuck up on Kyle Walker and he sort of bounced him off the ball, like physically, really got him. And he sort of caught him and because he'd never moved Kyle Walker off the ball if Kyle knew he was coming, right? So he bounced the ball, nicked it. In the very next phase of play, Walker then fouls him. In the next phase of play, Trossard then fouls him back. Right? and so he's almost like he woke Walker up. And they became embroiled in a battle, right? So, but Kyle Walker was taking a long throw, I believe, when Leo crossed it for the goal. So Leo probably runs back to half a line and just went, cheers, 2-0, right? So, he got into a one-on-one battle with him. He's a man, right? He's not going to let people take liberties with him. He's a man, and that's professional football. Kyle Walker said, I'm not going to let you move me about. And he got into that. So when he joined a little bit of maybe discipline uproar from Brighton. So I always wonder when someone walks into a room like that, how will they walk out? But let's be honest, if we were ever to do a statistical analysis of Leo Trossard since he joined, I tell you now, if he wasn't here, we'd have a lot fewer wins and a lot fewer happier moments because his goals and assist record is outstanding.
I think it's like 42 and 100 appearances, and there's a lot of sub-appearances in there too, not just starts. So it's a hell of a return based on the investment we made, the decision we were thinking about making in that transfer window. The less said about the other player, the better. He's not currently playing football.
Sliding doors moments, right?
Yeah.
Sliding doors moments, It took us years to recover from the spend of Aubameyang, Pepe and Lacazette maybe, who had moments in while we had them, but they all walked out the door for free despite a massive expenditure, right? So here we are with this player. It's a sliding doors moment. Sometimes it can slow a project completely.
Before we get into the second half, some additional performances that I think are worth highlighting, the other results around the league and how we manage the game tomorrow. Just quickly, it was a really, really good first half at a place that's difficult to play. The only loss they have in the last 18 months is Liverpool. And that game was decided on a penalty in stoppage time.
Last minute,
dumb decision. So, I think by and large, this is a good performance, but it's a very good performance in the first half in particular. We are using our fullbacks really effectively and really uniquely, and they're both playing at a very high level right now. So I wanted to just give you a chance to talk a little bit about Timber and Calafiori and the role of the fullbacks and how we're making the most of their involvement.
I think first things first, I think Arsenal are definitely playing in bursts. I've said that before and on here. I think we have to because the game is so intense now. We can't play the game 90 minutes that we played for a period in the first half. We just can't. And you don't need to. Finally, Elliot, we're playing 2-0 football at 2-0 rather than 2-0 football at 1-0, which makes us all nervous, right? So I'm really pleased with how we're managing the game. And as for fullbacks, I think these two fullbacks are educating us as what we think an attacking fullback is. Because the classic Ben White long run, overlap cross, Kieran Tierney, overlap cross, that was the classic attacking fullback. How can you make a front five into a front six? X amount overload. Have you got quality to put the ball into the box, into areas that can really damage your position? That's how we're brought up. And then we find that Zinchenko comes out of the sky and he stands in places of the pitch that no fullback should ever stand, right? So we dominate midfield. And his ability on the ball allows us to get +1s in there, 4v3, and we dominate games until people find us out and ping it into our left-back area and make him defend, right? So Salah, Liverpool at Anfield, for example, right? So, but now these two are, in Calafiori and Timber in particular, they are all court players, right? So they can do the outside thing, and they can do the inside thing. But what they really can do, I think, Timber's up. I think he's a really good dribbler. I think he's a really good carrier. You know, I think he really can carry. He can get out of pressure on the ball. I think he's just a really smart footballer. His crossing is okay, but he's sensible. You know, he hasn't got the soft feet of a Ben White cross, but he just puts the ball into areas, right, at the right time with real intensity. He can carry the ball up the pitch. We saw it the other last week. I think he's a magnificent player. As a defender, he's just ridiculous. Just don't go near him. You're stupid if you do. But Calafiori, again now, he's more of a running flow type player. So he runs into areas. So he has an instinct for the game that's been encouraged. Now we know if he stands at left back in a game, which he has to do on occasion, he can do it. When he's fit, he can be really tight and get around people. But when he's allowed to move into areas that he feels benefits the team, and Trossard on his outside is more of a passing wide man to pass it into him, then he suddenly becomes a completely different threat. Now, when you set up defensively, you know who your matchups are, Elliot. And what you don't want, mate, is somebody arriving late into those areas. Because then you're thinking, oh my God, what do I do now? He's arrived. I can't let him go because he can play. He's 2-footed. He can do a lot on the ball. But now I've got to make a decision. And if I make a decision, I make the wrong one, I disconnect from my man and they suddenly flip the ball to my man I've just left. Everyone looks at me and says, why'd you leave your man for? And this is about space and arriving in space. Don't stand in space. I think we've developed from that. We spoke about Declan Rice earlier, standing in the high 8 space. But now he's arriving into space. And how much better does he look? How much better does Calafiori look when he arrives into space rather than standing in areas waiting? You know, and it's all about timing and connections. And yeah, these two players, I thought Matt today did a fantastic bit on it, and they had the numbers associated to it as well. These two players are educating people on what attacking fullbacks are. Modern attacking fullbacks. They're not Hakimi, and who's the other guy? Is it Mendes?
Nuno Mendes.
Nuno Mendes. They're not quite them. They're something else, which will cause a lot of teams problems, right? And they're not far behind those two, in my opinion.
The star attacking fullbacks of the league, Gyokeres and Frimpong, just tearing the league. Oh no, that's not.
Stop it, Elliot.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Yeah, there was this one moment in the early on. Actually, I think it was. The 21st minute, Leo makes this beautiful pass. This pass between two Burnley players into the box for a shot. And I'm like, who is that? And it took me a second to realize it's Calafiori, because what's he doing? He's standing on the elbow of the 6-yard box. Yeah. Leo picks him out there and he turns and shots blocked out for a corner. But just an incredible moment to realize the positions that are being taken up. Yeah.
It's true. And funny enough, on the commentary of the Liverpool Villa game at the weekend, Andy Robertson was taking up quite similar positions. And the commentators were going, oh my God, look what they're doing with Andy Robertson, pushing him into high areas. And of course, I'm an Arsenal fan, so I've got the immediately saying, don't you watch Arsenal, you lot? I started to feel lazy punditry. And, don't you watch Arsenal? Don't you watch them? And but I'll tell you what this is a sign of, though, mate. And this is something where we've never been in this position. I won't say never. We haven't been in this position for a long time. Is that we are setting some football trends that people are starting to follow. The set piece is one thing, although it's a trend, and now we're getting blamed for it. Long throws is another thing. Everyone's doing it, but it's Arsenal that are doing it the most. So in fact, I saw Atletico Madrid do it. Let's not worry about that. So we're setting trends now, and we've always maybe the ones that have followed other people's trends, and it's interesting, right?
Yeah, it really is. I want to talk to you a little bit about Saka and the way he's kind of managing his way through games, a couple of missed chances in this game, and the second half performance. Let's quickly hit a brand. We just got the one brand I want to tell you about today. That is NordVPN, and it's the easiest one to tell you about because it's the one that by now I think all of you have taken an opportunity to take advantage of, it feels like. But if you have not, you really need to. Look, this was a blackout weekend, 3 p.m. blackout for Arsenal. VPN is the way to get to watch things that are not available in your area. So if you see a video and someone says, oh, you're not going to believe this, you need to check out this video, and then you can't because that video is not available in your area, you just tap a button on your phone, your tablet, you click a button on your computer, boom, you're browsing wherever you want to browse. So you want to browse in the US so that you can watch your US subscription of football, or you want to browse in Australia because there's a show that's available there that's not available in your area, you want to browse in the UK so you can watch match reviews of the day show, whatever it is, or just a geo-locked social video, bang, you can watch it, and it has threat protection. So you're using your VPN, you're getting threat protection. If you're on a stream that maybe is a little bit dodgy, you're protected from that as well. Their speeds are really highly rated. It's another big reason I'd choose Nord. The two biggest reasons I like Nord, me just personally as a Nord user, one, the simplicity of using it is huge, because I don't want to have to deal with any technical nonsense because I'm not good at that stuff. And then two is just the speed. So NordVPN.com, you get 4 bonus months with our code and a discount off their plan to begin with. So it's a discount and 4 bonus months. All you have to do is go to NordVPN.com/ArsenalVision. That's NordVPN.com/ArsenalVision. NordVPN.com/ArsenalVision. Do it now, Clive. Is that enough there?
Indeed.
Nailed it. Okay. That was easy enough. Okay. So real quick on Saka. I mean, look, I have to be consistent. I genuinely believe that when you have an attacking player that you're watching, the question isn't how many goals are they scoring. Ultimately, it will be. But the question is, are they getting into position to score goals? Are they getting the big chances? Are they getting good chances? And Saka had 2 big chances in this game, both provided by Gyokeres, both not taken. I'm sure he'll be frustrated not to have taken it. But as long as he's in those kind of positions, things are going to be all right for us in the long run. I do feel he's managing his way through games a bit right now. Yeah. We know he had been feeling something or experiencing something last week. International break is coming up. We cannot afford for Saka to miss any kind of significant time. So I don't mind him managing his way through games. I think he'll just be frustrated and take his chance. But what's your evaluation of those kind of moments and how he's making his way through the games right now?
Yeah, you can tell with him how he's moving. Straight away is where he is. A lot of it is how he moves, how he even gets up off the floor after being smashed. You can just tell where he is in his mind, and I think he's something that as Arsenal watchers, we know where he is in his body. And he had some quiet games recently, but when he came on against Brighton, funny enough, he looked really sharp. And I thought, oh, great, he'll be ready for Burnley. Because at that moment, I was worried about Burnley. Don't know why. I was worried about Burnley. And I thought he looked really good when he came on. And he scored. And I thought, oh, brilliant, he's back. Whatever he was carrying or managing, he's over it. But at the weekend, I saw him take a step back again. So when you see that, you say to yourself, well, he's not lost it. He's just managing something, isn't he? Whether it be illness, whether it be hamstring related. We all know that the hamstring he got before Liverpool was a major blow for him personally. Probably wanted to play in that game. I think it cost us that game, if you ask me honestly. I think we'd have beaten them if he was there, but hey, that's another story. And it's a big year for him. There's a lot of pressure around England squad at the moment to be there, to be available. But on this occasion, I'm hoping that he gets if he can get through to the Sunderland game, and I'm hoping he does get a chance to have a bit of a sit down and get that right. He's had a number of hamstring injuries now, including one that's required an operation. So when he feels something, he must be nervous about it. It's just natural, isn't it? If he feels something down there, he's going to be really cautious. I'm happy with him being cautious at 2-0. Honestly, I don't care. He can stand still, mate, as far as I'm concerned. I just don't want to see another 4-monther. That's what we just can't take that. This team deserves what he could get, what's coming for it, if the key parts are there, and he's one of the key parts, right? And his career deserves it. Well, Elliot, he's had a lot of second places in finals, England finals, league games, big moments that haven't quite gone his way. He needs to be available so we can turn those seconds into a first.
Yeah, I think just the involvement. Obviously, look, the 2 big moments he has, if he scores those goals, we're not talking about his involvement because 2 goals is 2 goals, right? I mean, no one talks about Erling Haaland's involvement. He has 5 touches. He has 3 goals. Everybody's fine with it. But you look at the Fulham game, for example. Against Fulham, Bukayo Saka had he had a lot of stuff. So let me run through a little bit of this, okay? So against Fulham, Bukayo Saka had 86 touches. He won 13 duels on the ground. He had 6 out of 7 successful dribbles, and he attempted 14 crosses. Okay, so 86 touches, 13 duels won, 6 dribbles. In this game, Bukayo Saka had 34 touches, 1 dribble attempted, not successful, 1 ground duel won, and 1 attempted cross. It's just a very muted performance. Now, again, if those 2 goals go in, no one's talking about that. But I think maybe that's another issue of the Odegaard versus Rice thing. If Declan Rice is leading us in touches, the left-hand side was firing. Leo's on the ball, Calafiori's on the ball, Declan Rice is on the ball, so there's a bias to the side that we're building up. And when Saka gets to the ball, he's got 2 big chances, so that can work too. But I just think when Bukayo's really feeling it, he demands the ball. He makes sure it comes to him a little bit. Yeah. So right now, maybe just a little bit of game management going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this game, we had a couple of players had to leave. Zubimendi had to ask to be substituted, and obviously Gyokeres had to come out. That immediately takes away a substitution option, right? So Eze played the whole game, or most of the game against Brighton. So he's had a lot of minutes recently because he didn't get loaded in national break. So he's a bit overloaded at the moment. And Saka's there, and they say to Saka, can you just jog this one out, mate? Can you? Because maybe it would have been a day for a Max Dowman for the last 15 minutes if we did have to make a Gyokeres who sat down in the week,
We needed 3-0 so that Saka could have come off at 75 minutes or 70 minutes for Max.
Yeah, maybe. And it's a tough one, right? So I know we are sitting here now, 2-0, cigars on, thinking, I knew he was going to win 2-0. I was disappointed they even hit the post. That's what we're thinking because we immediately become comfortable and we start winning like 8-9 in a row. But the manager's thinking, I need to manage this game properly. I don't need to wake up their crowd. I don't need nothing. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to see this out and be really serious and really focused. And it would have been nice. We're really missing Noni, not just for the Saka thing, but for just to have that extra electric player that really moves. We miss him, and we're missing 3 really major forwards, to be honest. And I can't wait to integrate them back in. And then we won't be seeing Gyokeres running himself until he can't hardly run. We won't see Saka not risking, but having to be conservative because he maybe feels something. We can just play full power. That moment's not far away, mate. Unlucky Spurs. We'll see you in a few weeks' time.
Yeah. And so I do think it's worth touching on this second half performance. And I think that there is a fine line between managing your way over the line and letting the other team back in it more than you might like. Now, Burnley had a whopping 3 shots in the second half. And this is where Arsenal had broken my brain a little bit. When a team has a shot, I'm like, oh, we're playing like crap now. Because they're not supposed to have a shot, right? But the second half, we outshot them 4-3. They out XG'd us 0.42 to 0.15. I mean, 0.15 XG on 4 shots in a half against Burnley. Maybe not exactly what we want. They out-touched us in the box 10-8. And Mikel did have some comments about the second half performance. On the performance, he said, very happy. It's a really tough place to come. They've lost here once in 18 months against Liverpool with the last kick of the game from a penalty. I think we started the game exceptionally well. I think the first half was one of the best that we've played. Agree with all that. Now, here we go. Scored 2 goals, generated another 2 or 3 big chances, concede nothing. That was a platform because in the second half, we dropped the standards, especially with the ball and with our intentions to take more risks and play forward. But again, defensively, we were exceptional until the point of the free kick. We were a bit lucky that it hit the post and we kept the clean sheet. And I got in your WhatsApp and I said I was annoyed because we have a corner kick at 93-40 or whatever with 4 added minutes on, and we decide to go to try to score a goal from that corner kick. Instead, just keeping a corner flag. Ethan loses the ball. Everybody has to sprint back. Gabby goes into a big sliding challenge, picks up a yellow, and they get a free kick that they almost score from at the death. And I just think those little concentration points of managing your way through the game, nobody needed that sprint at 94 minutes. Come on, guys. But do you have any thoughts on just, is that a perfectly fine way to manage out the second half? Were you a little antsy with how we managed it out and the balance of how we were playing? Why do you think it was maybe less controlled than we might have liked?
Yeah, so you've got your Polaroid of that run at the end when they were to run back, and it's in your mind. That's lack of control. Actually, in my mind, I'm thinking, you control games by your intention to play. And I think our intention to play reduced in the second half and we've done our sums and we've seen Gyokeres come off and we see another centre forward going there who's really a midfielder. And it felt a bit like last year, a little bit, so Saka didn't have his sprinting boots on. We didn't have Martinelli, and we've got all come to feet players, right? So that once we have those come to feet players, we know we're going to play a combination play. So what tends to happen is our defenders are really, really good. Our goalkeeper really, really good. So we end up playing in the wrong areas. Whereas the first half, it felt like we were playing in their half a lot more. But in the second half, it definitely felt like we were playing in our half a lot more. Still controlling it, but not controlling it in the areas that I prefer us to play in. And so I felt the emphasis in the centre of our team moved backwards a little bit. Whereas when you got Gyokeres on full power, you want to give it to him straight very, very quickly. So the bit of that criticism that Mikel made that stood out to me was the play forward line. That's really it. When you play forward consistently and you make people defend, that's how you affect games. If you make defenders comfortable, you know what they do? They step onto you and they get a foothold into the game. Right? So our offensive energy dropped. Why is it dropping? Because those are players that are overused. Our defenders, all our 8 defenders, are in tip-top shape, all chomping to get onto the pitch. Right? So our defenders are, even our goalkeeper gets a day off now and again. Right? So they're looking sharp, they're looking bright, they're under pressure for their positions, they look really, really good. But our forwards now, they have to basically jog out games because they're playing the next one. And I think one of the highlights of last week for me was seeing that young Andre Harriman-Anous come on and play that game against Brighton and make the same runs. Didn't get the ball, but he affected Brighton in the same way. And I thought it was a really good game. And I thought, I've grown used to that sort of playing, and that allows us to get up the pitch and play forward. So I think the message for me is not the dropping standards per se, but remember who we are. And we're going to just play the ball forward. When it's on, let's play it. And we maybe didn't do it at the second half. We got a little bit fancy down, playing in our own areas, combinations, knocking it around each other, 5-a-side football. I don't like that. I want to affect teams like we have done this season.
Do you think Marino's important goals late last season have obscured the fact that Marino at striker doesn't really work? Because I think we were so fired up about the Champions League campaign and the league was gone for us, so nobody really focused on it. But the league performances when Marino played striker last season were really poor. I'm not laying that at Marino's feet. He's not a striker. But I just think in this second half, that didn't feel like it was working particularly. And why should it? Again, he's an emergency option there, but I'm wondering if you think that maybe is something we might want to move away from, that instead we might want to move Leo into that position if we need a striker or Martinelli when he's back, and sort of reduce the amount of time we play with Marino up front.
Yeah, for me, it's all about balancing the front line, Ellie. I'm going to say, when you've got someone he's not going to run the channels, you better have 2 wingers that can run the channels.
Yeah.
Then you don't think about it anymore. Right, so when Marino came on at Newcastle, almost played like a second striker. We all happy to see him then, weren't we? Nodding in the net, right? So it all depends on the game state. In this game, we needed probably a little bit more running power, just to mimic what we've seen before and encourage us to play forward. The players know what we have as well, so they want to play into feet, So they end up playing to the players that are on the pitch and their physical state, shall we say? So yeah, it's always going to be a less progressive team in the second half, just because of the players we had on the pitch. We lost our sprinters. If we have Martinelli, Madueke, Gyokeres on that pitch in the second half, or maybe just those 3 coming on at 2-0, then we say, "Oi, lads, you can have the ball. Come on then, have a little play. See if you can come near us, because we're going to hit you really hard on the break." And that could be the future quite easily, couldn't it? And those are the options that we actually have. So I'm more comfortable than you, Elliot. The 2-0 football we played was a little bit stinky, right? But I've wanted this for a long time, so I'm not going to critique it too much.
Yeah, I think seasons are filled with turning point moments, and anytime you get out of an away match 2-0 to the good, in a pretty low stakes game, you've done something right. I do think that because our games are so low stakes and we allow so few shots on target, so few shots, period, and almost no goals ever, I think sometimes when we allow the other team to have any participation in the game, it can be a bit jarring because we expect ourselves to be so dominant. But yeah, you go away and you make the game a low event non-issue, then I don't think it's worth picking the bones out of it. I would just say that had we gotten it to 3-0, you might have seen a couple other players come off. And I think Martinelli is a big miss, by the way. I think this is the kind of game where when the team comes on you just a little bit more, that runaway speed up the left wing suddenly becomes incredibly valuable. And we didn't really have an out ball, and that was apparent. A couple of stats, by the way. This one from Harvey Downs. Arsenal have kept a clean sheet in 7 consecutive games for the first time since March to April of 1999. In the club's history, only between April to October of 1903 have we enjoyed a longer run of successive shutouts, 8 in a row. So pretty impressive there. We had the most touches in the opposition box by a Premier League side this season going in, 320. We added a bunch more this game, so we will continue to have the lead in that stat. So just a lot of good things. And, amid all the injury crisis, I will say that Arsenal did name an unchanged lineup in the Premier League for the 3rd match in a row, the first time we managed it since May of 2024, a run of 4 matches. That's Orbinho's stats. So just some interesting stats there. I don't really have anything else from this game. I think we can move on to just a couple of things from around the league and looking ahead to Prague, unless you have final thoughts. But again, you got to just go win your away matches. When you beat a team that hasn't lost at home except for one time in 18 months and make it a non-issue, I think that's mission accomplished. This is the way champions win games, right? By making them stressless, low incident games. This is a game no one will remember. Granted, had Gyokeres played the whole game, maybe you would have made it one we'll remember, because I think we'll be talking about his performance there. But that's what you want from these games, right, Clive? I think last season, every game felt so fraught. There was a key injury or a major referee decision. I realized there was a key injury in this game as well, but the games felt very fraught and emotional. You go back a couple seasons, the big knock on us was we were too emotional when it was the Granit Xhaka season we first started challenging. But this season, games like this is about as non-emotional and cold a game as you're going to get. And I think you need days like this again throughout the season where you just take all the sting out of the tail.
Yeah, we're learning. We're learning. Last year was almost like a non-event because we weren't, in my opinion, we weren't allowed. We weren't allowed to compete. But that's just me being a bitter fan, right? And but we're learning, and some of the things that we've done in the past, whether it be too emotional. Well, we were 3 years younger then. We were emotional, right? So we weren't as mature, weren't as assured in certain instances. We didn't manage the Newcastle away game and the Spurs away game. It was a bit much for us, right? When we went to City and got slapped, we didn't manage that correctly. Tactically, in my opinion, I thought we fell into the trap of wanting to show who we were, and we got taken apart. Even to the point when we didn't in the City 0-0 game, did we attack them enough, right? So people have critiqued us for everything that we've done. Maybe just to summarize, maybe we just weren't ready at that time. We just weren't ready. We didn't have the depth. We didn't have the maturity. We didn't have the belief. We didn't have the lessons that we've learned to call on, to say this is how. We didn't have the disappointment to feel and to remind ourselves we're not going to do this again. We're not going to do silly stuff that get our players sent off. We didn't have all of this to call on. We just weren't ready. So why all of a sudden does this all look and feel different? Because we've learned the lessons off the pitch with our recruitment. We're learning the lessons by how we play on the pitch. The recruitment has hopefully, although we're not getting the breaks at the moment, has hopefully allowed us to reduce the injury because we can rotate people properly. We're doing a rotation thing in all the areas that we can, but we just can't in a certain area because we've got a bit of a crush on offensive players at the moment. So I sometimes think you just know when you're ready. And so I think the pressure is going to come, Elliot, though. The mental pressure. Because now everyone's gone the other way. Rather than tell us what we're not good at, they're telling us that we're really good at everything. And that has a different impact to you emotionally as a fan and as a player. So how do I create a protective state so that doesn't seep into our mindset so I become complacent? And that's what Mikel was saying at the weekend. Don't drop our standards at any point. because we spent a long time to get here, right? So we do look ready, we do look better. But I'm a human being, and Liverpool and City won at the weekend, and it felt like they got 4 points for a win, while we only got 3 points for a win.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
And this is football. I thought I'd say that and see if anyone else believed it. Did they get 4 points? All they did was win a game.
But you know what it is? It's some of that, Clive. I think this is the thing. Playing first means you can put the pressure on the others.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is if they win playing second, it feels like they've clawed you back somehow. You know what I mean? You see those points narrowing at the top. So it's an interesting psychological experience.
It is. And Pep knows it. He's thinking, Pep's thinking, he's thinking, mate, if I can just stay close to them Arsenal boys, they've never done this before. And I'm going to get my players. I might even buy someone in January and just change and really flip the mentality on the mental side onto them. Haaland keeping fresh. Marmoush is a good player. Rodri look after his legs. The goalkeeper, he can save anything. I'm just gonna stay around them and see how they cope. Right. So, what I'm thinking, Elliot? I'm thinking, mate, Slavia Prague. I don't really care. I care about Sunderland. You know why? Because we could be 10 points ahead of one of them. Right. Mm-hmm. So and they have a Sunday afternoon Super Sunday job playing each other. And I tell you what, we'll see pressure then. We will see pressure flip then.
Yeah.
Saturday is massive for Arsenal. It really is massive. If we win it, oh my goodness, I'm going to sit down with a nice drink and watch that other game and see how it impacts their performance and how they cope.
Just to put into context how important that Sunderland game is, if we fail to win it and City win their next two, now that would mean Liverpool and Newcastle, so no easy feat, but if they do it, we'd go into the Spurs game in second at kickoff. Can't have that. Can't have that from this position. And again, that doesn't mean the title's gone. Just you don't want to be in that position. These are difficult games, and we're going to have to make some difficult decisions about lineups. And we'll have plenty of time to read the tea leaves from Mikel's pressers and understand that. But just quickly looking around the league at the results. I mean, United go to Forest, they get themselves into the lead, they drop the points. I really think that they're going to have a hard time controlling games throughout the season, but that's a disappointment for them. Spurs embarrassed as they are wont to be. And I think Spurs are an interesting case study in fans not knowing what the hell they want, because you finished 17th last season. You had a manager that couldn't control games at all. You got a new manager that comes in and just tries to get his hands around getting some shape and organization to you. He's got you in the top 5, top 4, whatever it is, from a team that was 17th last season that doesn't have the talent to be anywhere near the top. But because the football is not pretty, you're upset because it doesn't align with your culture. Well, you had pretty football that got you 17th, so make up your mind. But obviously the teams that still matter to me are Liverpool and City. So let's just spend a minute on City. I'd say I rate Iraola tremendously highly. I think he's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal manager. The high line they tried to play against Haaland was an absolute mess. And when Erling Haaland can start his run in his own half and have a clear run to goal, or when he's running in behind because your left back is 3 yards behind the defensive line, like that's not going to work. That is, of all the players in the world, that's not going to work against him. So I just felt like Bournemouth gave the game to City with what they did.
Yeah, it's not about high lines, but how about having a straight line? That's the key. I was sort of disappointed in Bournemouth, actually, because before the game, I'm a big believer in, these teams that are not in Europe, they've got a massive advantage with so many Premier League teams in Europe, 9 out of 20. And Bournemouth are a good side. And I thought, well, they could go there and really do something. But I actually thought there was probably a moment at 2-1 when he was about to make subs and he went to 3-1. I probably killed their game plan towards the end of the game. They may have got a draw out of it. But I just thought they played into their hands too much. And look, it's easy to sit there and say, Haaland's coming, he's going to run past you. When you're a player, you may think, well, I can run with him, and suddenly he's gone. And because he's at tip-top at the moment, tip-top shape, he looks unbelievably awesome like he did in his first season. So he's a different, and we couldn't manage him neither, Elliot. We had to make a decision. Big Gabe made a decision. I've just come back from a hamstring operation. I'm not going to sprint him down. Let's see what happens, right? So, which is a very wise decision because he's now on the pitch, he's the best defender in the league. So, tough to deal with. But I felt Bournemouth played into our hands a little bit, much like Aston Villa did. I just couldn't believe what Aston Villa were doing. And by playing short all the time, by playing 5-yard pass to Liverpool, thinking, "Oh my God, I can't believe this! No one's going long enough." I mean, what?
Clive,
What?
Unai Emery is renowned for his film study. How's he the only manager that doesn't realize that kicking long is the way you beat Liverpool? Like this, he's supposed to be the student of the game. It's 3-hour film sessions. It never came up in any of his film sessions that you just kick long against Liverpool. What the hell were they doing?
It's not even kick long. Just make Konate and Van Dijk defend. Just make them defend. That's what Liverpool did. They brought Robertson back and Bradley back. They kept their back four in the line a lot more. Didn't expose too much of their outside channels. They tried to deal with the long ball. They had their championship midfield back together again, alive to the second ball. But they didn't need to, because Villa decided to make Emi Martinez the playmaker. And it's like, whoa. I thought, okay, this is interesting. Okay, couple of passes and then go. No, cut the passes, and I cut them more. So Liverpool got really encouraged and then took it off them. And they were lucky to score more goals. I don't know how Aston Villa fans feel today, but I would be fuming at that. I'd be absolutely fuming. I did not see a quality gap between the two teams. I saw a tactical gap between the two teams. One that was stupid, the other one that felt incredibly lucky. Liverpool have had two great results, one against Frankfurt, one against Villa. And the manager will say that both teams played into his hands. Right? I don't think they've solved the problems. And as soon as they bring their players that they spent money on back into the group, I think we're going to see a lot of the same things. But they're there, right? They're still there. But if we win against Sunderland, Liverpool and City, one of them, it's going to be interesting to watch, Elliot. I'll tell you what, mate, might be worth doing a IR after that game.
I mean, it depends on how it goes, right? It's a hard one to know exactly what I think we want to draw.
On Saturday, by the way.
Yeah. For starters, look, the Erling Haaland thing is an interesting one, because if I look at Liverpool and City, I think both teams have more flaws than any I see with us. With Liverpool, the question is, somehow people will say City have Erling Haaland and that could be enough. I mean, at Liverpool, between Isak and Salah, you'd think that would be enough. Now, Salah hasn't really gotten going. Isak definitely hasn't gotten going, so we don't know with them yet. Their defensive vulnerabilities are clear for all the world to see, but I think City's are as well. To be fair to Bournemouth, by the way, trying to stop Erling Haaland and playing a high line and all that stuff, they lost 3 starting defenders and their starting goalkeeper from last season. And it looked it in this game because the line was just a mess. And yeah, to your point, like I think if the keeper keeps out a shot that I think he can do better with, he's a little unsighted from the third shot. Maybe at 2-1, there's still a chance for Bournemouth to get something from that game. But neither Liverpool nor City are defending at the level that lets you think they're going to be able to make games as calm and easy as we've been able to. I think there are people that have written off Liverpool that think City are the threat, and I think the season is yet to present itself to us fully. I don't think either team is really up and running yet, but we very much are. Now, Clive, we've got injuries, and we have to be thoughtful about managing them. But I think we have to be a little bit careful about just writing off the Prague game, because you have to finish. I mean, look, we all want to win the Premier League. I get it. The Champions League is another prize that we absolutely want to try to win. And finishing top 8 in the league phase is a must. The big teams are looking fearsome in the Champions League so far this season. And you've got to win games like Slavia Prague away so that you don't have to win games like Inter away or Bayern away. So how do we manage this tomorrow? I mean, just quickly, ideally, I'd love Saka to be rested because he's been managing something. Gyokeres, if he has a chance for Sunderland, don't risk him tomorrow. Zubamendi's in training today, but he can't play. He's banned, so I take that back. You can't play him. But if you show up there with Norgard and Marino up front and Max Down and Ethan, Ethan's very good, obviously, and you could get to a situation where you rotate so many players that an away game in Europe is not suddenly something you can just comfortably say you're going to win. So how do you balance it?
Yeah, it's all about. It's a tough one. I know you want to win this game, but I must admit, my eyes are on something. I got to be honest with you. I get it. But I just read out. I just looked at SofaScore and the team they've got down there, right? So it's quite a nice team. They got Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis Skelly. They got Rice, Norgard, Eze, Saka, Marino, Trossard. There's a few changes in there, but I'd maybe make one more. I
Get
wouldn't
Saka
mind.
out of there.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a couple of options there, and so but it's all about if they play half a game, then it's okay. Do you see what I mean? And so look, there's money in the Champions League. I think you get 2 mil per win or something like that. So there's money in the Champions League. So they're not going to throw the game, you know. But we just got to be careful with our forward players, right? So if we can do the job early, and I don't know how good Slavia Prague are. I've just looked around and I can see they play a back 3, back 5 per se. That's all I can tell. I can't see their quality. I don't know where they are. But if I'm Arsenal, I'm getting that game done by half time. I'm going for it, get it done by half time, and making my changes at that point onwards, because we do have to think about the weekend. I'm going to put extra pressure on the weekend because we've done so well in recent weeks. We've created a little bit of room. And we shouldn't be saying things. Everyone's trying to say to us, you have to win it, you have to win it, you have to win it, you have to win it from here. I'm thinking, bleed now, this is early November and we've only got a 6-point gap, wherever it is. That's not a lot. That can change in 2 weeks. So, but I do think we can really make a step if we do win at the weekend. And the Slavia Prague will take care of itself. I think we'll have enough for them. And I do think at the weekend, hopefully we may see 1 or 2 come back, you never know, and put a bit of spring into our offensive bench.
Yeah, I want to be clear. Sunderland is absolutely the priority. I fully acknowledge that. I just think you don't want to suddenly have that extra Champions League round in February, because it affects your ability to win the Champions League and your ability to win the Premier League. Those extra games in February.
I don't think we're considering we've won every game. I don't think we're going to drop too much.
No. It's just, you look at the teams. Last season, you had weird things where some of the big clubs were like near the bottom of the table at this stage and sort of scrambling to get points back. It's not that way right now, and we still have Inter and Bayern on the schedule. So I think you want to beat Slavia Prague. I think we'll beat Kairat Almaty at the Emirates. I feel pretty good about that. Bruges away is another one. But I think all 3 of those need to be wins so that you're not relying on points against Bayern or Inter. But if you have to, you have to. I would say, certainly to your point, I'm not risking anyone tomorrow who could potentially be a doubt for Sunderland. That is certainly something I'm not doing. And by the way, maybe a little bit lucky in the sense that Sunderland play tonight as we sit here recording against Everton. And we play on Tuesday. So from a rest standpoint, it's not a case where like they played Saturday and we play Wednesday, right? They play Monday, we play Tuesday. So we're going to go into the game in similar rest, which is at least a little bit helpful, and hopefully with some players. And by the way, maybe a Nani Madueke sneaks back into a lineup or a bench against Sunderland, or Kai Havertz shows up on a bench against Sunderland, and you start to see some powering up. I think we also have to bear in mind, by the way, I know people are excited for Odegaard and Kai and Nani and all them to get back. The first game after the international break is Spurs.
Yeah.
And these players have been out a lot. They're going to need to knock the rust off. And so we're going to have to be thoughtful, because those games, it's Spurs, it's Bayern, it's Chelsea. You can't just throw guys who have been out for 6 weeks, 12 weeks back into these games. So we're going to have to find our way to work them back in. But that's something we can discuss as we come to it. I think that's enough for now. We're going to have an instant reaction tomorrow, because the game's just going to keep coming thick and fast now. And then we can look ahead to a massive, massive weekend again with Liverpool playing City. So we'll do a lot of fun stuff around that. Maybe we will do an instant reaction for the City-Liverpool game, depending on that, because it could be a big talking point for the season. So lots more to come. Join us for the instant reaction tomorrow. They are really fun, by the way. We get Tim tomorrow be on the instant reaction, which is a nice treat. We get voice notes from Clive from the ground when he's at the Emirates, and all those pods can just be put right into your pod player. So you don't have to go to a special app. You can just listen as you always do, and you can watch the videos as well. AVP 50 if you want to do it for half off. We'd love to have you there. We're just happy to have you here. And please, if you could give us a 5-star review, that's going to help people find the pod. There has been more of an exodus from a digital space to analog spaces. People not using social media as much. So if you can give us a 5-star review, it'll help people find the pod. If you do have issues with the pod and you want to criticize it, then just reach out. I'll give you Paul's email, and you can email the negative stuff to Pause. Okay, Clive, always a pleasure. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
My name's Elliot Smith. You are beautiful people. We love you. You're special, and you know it. And we will talk to you after Arsenal 10, Slavia Prague 0.